While the whole world was watching America's race to the moon, Russia was quietly running one of the most terrifying experiments in space history. On a planet that would crush metal like paper, the Soviet Union set their sights on Venus, and what they found there was so hostile, it left their own scientists speechless. Here's the story of Russia's suicide missions to Venus, the ones that cracked open the planet's darkest secret, and how something as small as a camera lens cap wiped out years of work and billions of dollars. It's the 1960s. The Cold War is at its peak. America and the Soviet Union are locked in a race, not just for weapons, but for the sky itself. Whoever conquered space first would prove their system, their science, their nation was superior. America chose the moon. And honestly, the Soviets had already made progress there too. But then JFK made a promise the entire world heard. America would land a man on the moon before the decade was out. So the Soviets pivoted. If America was going for the moon, Russia would go somewhere far more dangerous, Venus. Because back then, scientists thought Venus and Earth were basically twins, same size, similar distance from the sun, right next door in the solar system. The only difference? Venus was completely wrapped in clouds. Nobody had any idea what was hiding underneath them, not even the scientists. Russia's logic was simple. Anyone with a telescope could look at the moon. But if they could pull back Venus's cloud and show the world what was inside oceans, forests, maybe even alien life, that would be a bigger win than anything America could pull off. So they built a probe. They called it Venera, Russian for Venus. And over the next 2 decades, they launched 18 missions at this planet. The first attempts were disasters. Venera 1 in 1961 lost contact. Just 7 days after launch, it drifted past Venus completely blind, and it's still floating somewhere near the sun today. Venera 2, launched 4 years later, died the same way. Several more attempts failed so badly, they were never even given the Venera. Namespace historians call them ghost missions. By 1966, Russia built heavier, tougher probes. Venera 3 and 4. Venera 3 became the first man-made object in history to crash into another planet. It never sent back a single byte of data, but it proved humans could physically reach another world's surface. Venera got further. It confirmed Venus's atmosphere was mostly carbon dioxide. But when it hit the real pressure down there, it crumpled like a soda can, crushed in a fist. Venera 5 and 6 didn't even try to land. They were built just to survive falling through the atmosphere for 50 minutes and transmit whatever they could. Both were crushed to pieces before they finished. Then came Venera 7, built like an actual tank. Barely any scientific instruments, just pure survival engineering. And even then, its switchboard jammed mid-descent, its parachute tore apart, and it slammed onto the surface at 17 meters per second, landing upside down. Its antenna pointed at the dirt. But Russian engineers refused to give up. They picked up a signal so weak it shouldn't have worked. For 23 minutes, a broken probe lying face down on an alien planet kept talking to Earth. It became the first man-made object to transmit data from the surface of another world. And what it found made scientists' blood run cold. 465 degrees Celsius, hotter than an oven, twice over. As it fell, something else was happening. The radio signal kept shifting slightly, and scientists realized why. Venera was being pushed sideways by winds moving at 360 kilometers per hour, faster than the worst hurricane Earth has ever produced. Venera pushed further, landing deliberately in daylight to measure how much light actually reached the surface. Then came Venera 9 through 12, Russia, built with crush rings to absorb landing. The lens caps wouldn't open. Venera 9 and 10 each got only one working camera. They sent back mountains of data, not a single photo. 1975. Venera June sent back surface of another planet through just one working lens. The world saw it wasn't a sandy desert. It was a jagged, rocky hellscape littered with sharp stones. Venera 13 and 14 closed out this golden era and gave us something nobody expected, a microphone. For the first time in history, Humans recorded the actual sound of wind and thunder on another planet. Venera 13 also carried a drill and seismometer, confirming Venus even has its own quakes, and it sent back the first color photos, revealing an orange sky over reddish-brown ground. But Venera 14 became one of the strangest failures in space history. It carried a spring-loaded arm designed to slam into the ground and measure soil. Hardness. The problem, its own camera lens cap fell off, right where the arm was about to strike so. Instead of testing Venusian rock, it measured the hardness of its own equipment. Millions of dollars of engineering undone by a falling lens cap. By Venera 15 and 16, Russia changed strategy entirely. No more landing. These two orbited Venus for 8 months, using radar that could see straight through the clouds, mapping the surface in detail no one had ever managed before. That's how we know. Venus has 88-kilometer-high mountains and crags stretching thousands of kilometers across its surface. America dismissed the Venera program as a failure. But because of these missions, we now know Venus sits under 90 times Earth's atmospheric pressure, wrapped in clouds of sulfuric acid, blasted by winds that never stop, and hot enough to melt lead. Russia sent so many missions to Venus, some public, some classified, that people still call it the Soviet planet. Several of its valleys and craters even carry Russian names. So here's a question for you. If Venus's clouds are made of sulfuric acid, why doesn't that acid rain ever actually reach the ground?